All right, boys and girls, Ken Smith, KenSmithFishing.com, joined by my friend Dicky Newberry here today. So we've been talking a lot as Dicky's been fishing the FLW tour for the first year this year. You're currently setting in
I'm tied for 40th.
40th place.
Yeah,
How many go to the Cup?
42 this year.
42 go to the Cup.
Yeah,
One tournament left, which will be Champlain,
that's right.
which is border Vermont, New York, I believe,
Yep, and the Canadian border.
and the
so.
Canadian border. So, spent a lot of time there, have you? All right, so Dicky just came off of a tournament where he kind of redeemed yourself because you had fallen all the way to 60th place.
Yeah, 65, 68, something like that.
And so let's talk a little bit about how. So by the way, we've got some great fishing footage for you guys from Chickamagua, and I can already tell you we've got enough stuff. This is probably going to be 2 videos, but let's talk a little bit about what you've learned this year, what's frustrated you, what have you done right, decisions you might have made wrong.
Yeah, going to new lakes with basically no information and going there and spending 3 days trying to learn the lake and the position of the bass, and just going out with an open mind, going daylight to dark 3 days in a row. It's the most fun I've had fishing in 25 years.
I've heard you say that a couple times.
Just, I can't say it enough. It's just completely rejuvenated my fishing. I mean, it kind of got into, I don't want to ever want to say fishing, I got into a drag, but you got doing the same thing over
Here we
and
do.
over.
We hit the
Yeah.
same stuff over and over and over.
And not getting really out of the state of Texas that often, just for regionals and other things. And this here just opened a new book. I mean, it makes you feel good when you go out and you figure them out. I mean, I've been on fish all year to do a lot better than I've done, and even though it's here locally, we finished 20th. We had a bad tournament. We're terrible. We're disappointed and come in and kick the dogs. It's that kind of deal.
Lots of dogs.
Yeah, we're really upset. So, on the trail, it's not that away.
Yeah.
It's these guys out there can catch them. A lot of them have a lot of experience on these lakes, and it makes you feel like you've accomplished something when you go and.
Now, you've kind of purposefully stayed a little bit to yourself and not tried to get any information.
Mhm.
Why?
For that exact reason, to have that feeling, pride in what you've done, what you've accomplished. I mean, I've had, I talked to some of the guys, and they say this area of the lake usually is where it all goes down. Seminole was a perfect example. I had a guy that knew a brother-in-law of another guy that had fished there 2 times 3 years ago, and that kind of stuff. But they said the mouth of Spring Creek, where it dumps into the lake, is usually where most of it goes down. So that's what I concentrate on, and that kind of stuff. And then like when we went to Toho, everybody was saying there's a lot more fish down in Kissimmee, even though it was one in Toho. I spent 1 day practice there and didn't have a good practice, but I had a great practice down in Kissimmee. So that's
That was tournament 1.
That was actually tournament 2. We're not really going to say Rayburn was a tournament.
Wow,
okay?
that's right. We were here. Y'all were here first.
Well, whatever. I mean,
So-
mentally we weren't, but
So
we were here.
was that totally high water that screwed you up, or was there something else?
I just didn't catch them. I just did not get on
What
them.
happened?
Yeah, I mean, I was around them, and I thought I was on them a lot better than what I really was, and I wasn't. So just the way it goes. Sometimes it happens.
Does it help when guys say this guy's going to win it on national TV?
Yeah.
So you left here in what place?
70th.
70th place.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and tell me about your tournament there real quick.
Finished 70th again.
Okay.
And
But you caught them one day there, right?
yeah. I caught them. I was in a group of about 15 boats in about a 5-acre place. Apparently everybody else found the same group of fish that I found.
Mhm.
You know, it's amazing in practice, there was no one there, and I go to an area and I knew it was a bowl and it was set up right with the grass and the fish were staged up in it, and they were just full of fish. And first morning I drew boat 138, and I was one of the last ones in there, and there was about 7 or 8 guys there, and then another 8 or 9 joined us within the next 30 minutes, and the fish turned on, everybody started culling, and some of the guys were catching better fish than I was, and there was 20 pounds, 18 pounds, top 10 was made off those fish. I just wasn't one of the lucky ones that got the right bite. I lost fish in that tournament, and that's something in fishing this type of tournament format. You lose a fish, you're in trouble. I mean, I lost a 6-pounder on day 1 and lost one, 4 or 5. Losing fish is part of bass fishing, and it's going to happen. It's just part of it. It's just, it's a shame when it's such a critical fish.
And those were chatterbait fish, if I remember
Yes.
right. And you and I have talked a little bit about what are your beliefs now, having fished that tournament and obviously a lot of tournaments here, about the right setup for catching fish on a chatterbait, and why do you think you lose? Because I feel like I lose more fish on the chatterbait certainly than a swim jig or a spinnerbait, and I cannot tell you why.
Well, on the chatterbait, you have the blade, the way it's coming through there, and it's turned backwards, and the fish comes in, and it's usually the larger fish that completely engulf the bait and get it down in their mouth, and they crunch down on it. And when you're pulling on them, I think that blade helps open the mouth, and it works. Yeah, and it also works as a weed guard, kind of when the bait starts coming out. It kind of pushes the hook away from the flesh, or from the jawbone or any of it. And some of the guys are using glass rods or using a more limber rod, and I think why that's working better, when a fish comes up and does grab it, he's able then to turn, and once he turns and you pull on it, the bait has to come around and come out the sideways. If you're using a stiffer rod, I think that if they come up from behind it and grab it, and then you pull on them, you're pulling directly out of their mouth, you're not pulling to the side. I think that has a little bit to do with it, but I guess we'd have to video that underwater one day when we're not doing anything.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
So
see.
what is your comfort rod now, kind of action wise, for chatterbait fishing?
Well, I'm using, there's a, Lou's has a 7'3", it's a Magnum bass rod, and it has a parabolic bend to it.
Right.
And it's not a real, it's not a jig rod, and it's more of a spinnerbait type rod, or a big crankbait rod, something like that. But it's a 7'3". I got a pair of them, and I got them paired up with 2 6.8 ones. I'm throwing them 17-pound fluorocarbon, and they're both my chatterbait. I have a white one and a green pumpkin, and that stays in my rod box just for the chatterbait.
Okay. And was that the rod you were using over at Toho?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then from Toho, y'all went to
Seminole.
Seminole. Tell me about Seminole.
They have big green buoys there, and then you can't run over.
So, y'all have not heard the story. They got turned loose in the fog, and Newberry had a guy past him. You were running, what, 40 because of the fog?
Yeah, you couldn't see 50 yards in front of you. You said you had to really pay a lot of attention to the boat in front of you and try to keep him in sight and just stay right on his tail and hope he had a good trail that we were following, because it's a narrow river system, and we had to run for about 15 miles out to the main lake. And it's a winding river, had a lot of turns and bends in it. And some guy, he felt like we were going too slow, and he come around us, and when you can only see 30 to 50 yards, you're looking for a boat in front of you. I lost sight of my boat in front of me, so now I'm having to look at his V wake and pay attention to that. And I'm paying attention to this guy here, looking at my trail at the same time. I notice I'm off of my trail to the right side, and first thing I see is one of those big metal green buoys right in front of my boat, and there was no dodging it. And my center punch didn't cost $10,000 worth of damage to my boat. So anyway.
So Toledo Fiberglass, you're welcome, because that's where it is right now, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So that shook. You told me that shook you.
No, it shook me up, but the whole pressure of driving, there were several guys that that come close to having bad accidents. There were 2 or 3 other guys hit buoys, one of them run up on the ground. I mean, it was.
Somebody run up on Lindell's boat.
Yeah, so, I mean, it had all kinds of, near misses, we can call it. And then, by the time I got where I was going, I felt like I was on a group of winning fish, but they had moved a little bit, and I couldn't, I basically, my knees were weak when I got there. I mean, I didn't get full strength back into my legs until probably 10:30 or so.
Wow, scared you that bad?
It was bad.
Yeah. I don't think I have a picture of that boat, but when he said he center punched it, it wasn't 8 inches off the very front center of the bow.
And actually, the big blade on top of that green buoy glanced off of the tip of my trolling motor bracket, so it's got green paint on it.
My gosh, if you're gonna hit one, center punch it.
Yeah,
Don't
buddy.
screw around. Don't just nip it. All right, so you help me remember. Is that the tournament you caught on the first day?
Yeah, well, I've had several of those first day
So
miracles.
talk about that. So why do you think? Are you beating your fish up too much? Are you?
I didn't find a lot of fish there. I mean, but I caught them. I caught a couple 6-pounders that day. I had almost 20. I was in 9th place after day 1. Day 2, I mean, I really didn't have any other. There again, not having any experience on the lake, we had hurricane had hit Seminole earlier or last October, I think it was, or November, and when hurricane went through, it tore all the grass up, because that lake's, you fish grass kind of similar to what we do here, but the north side of it was completely destroyed. All the grass was ripped up, and the grass hadn't come back on the north side. The south side had good grass, because that was the direction it was protected from the wind. I didn't know this. In the first day of practice, I practiced kind of mid-lake, out in the middle, found some grass, mainly milfoil, some hydrilla, and then we had a bad front come through. Tornadoes come in that night, and the wind shifted out of the north, so we had 15 to 20 mile an hour winds blowing all on the south side where all the good grass was at. And I knew I was in trouble day 1 when we come down the river, and all the boats ahead of me were peeling to the left and going over to the south shore. I said, oh, there's something going on over here that I don't know about. Yeah. So apparently, that's where a lot of the good stringers, it wasn't the only places, but it was a lot of the top 10 come from in that good grass.
Now you said something to me just after one of these tournaments where you said, I feel like, and I'm going to paraphrase it and you clarify. It seems like you said to me, I feel like the way I've always tournament fished, you find a group of fish and you really dissect them. And up here, it's more important to find multiple groups of
That's
fish.
Right. Yeah, you're talking about, if you're going to do well, you got to have enough to go around for 4 days. Either you've got to have a very, very thick population of fish, similar to what we had at Kissimmee, or the Toho tournament. But there was so many. Usually when you find that many fish, a lot of those guys are going to find them. I mean, it's just that simple. So you've got to have some backup spots, and you've got to have multiple groups of fish if you're going to do well. I mean, occasionally the guys, can set on one group of fish if they got themselves fish for several days.
Check our audio here. We may have to sneak this up a little bit with the rain coming in.